Viraha Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiram Vanachari Yamunati Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna everyone, good morning. Hope everyone's doing good. So today is our final session discussing the mysteries of Kurukshetra. So we've been on a journey. We've first encountered the dimension of Kurukshetra as a battlefield. There we learned from all the warriors, we learned that life is full of struggle, that the world is a battlefield, but that Krishna is the charioteer, and behind everything he's doing the tactics, Prabhupada says the espionage, to ensure that we'll be victorious. And in that way the devotee can always be sure, Yatra Yogeshvara, wherever there is Krishna, then Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, there will be victory. So like this, it gives us hope in the struggle of life. Life is difficult. Retreats are great, and then there's the morning after the retreat. And then we have to wake up and fight, the good fight. But Krishna is there as our teacher, as the charioteer. And then yesterday we talked about Krishna, Kurukshetra as a dharma kshetra, a place where not only was Arjun's meaning born, but meaning for generations to come, because there Krishna spoke the immortal words of the Bhagavad Gita, and those words continue to illumine the world and continue for the devotee who assiduously studies the Gita to remove all confusion. And therefore Kurukshetra is the place where we find our meaning. And remember, if we have meaning, everything else is tolerable. And now today we'll go to the final, perhaps most mystical dimension of Kurukshetra, which is that it's a Viraha Kshetra. Viraha, as we know, means separation, but Viraha also means Vishesha, Rahasya, Unmilam. Vishesha means very special, Rahasya means confidential, and Milan means meeting. So the place where one has genuine Viraha, not just separation, but spiritual separation, confidential separation, heartfelt, the separation of the soul, that place is actually the greatest meeting point. This is very, very mystical. Sometimes we have this experience in the world when the water, if you turn a tap and the water is extremely hot, for a moment it feels very cold. And sometimes it happens the opposite way also. So there's a sense in which extremes sometimes meet. And this is a shadow of the spiritual reality, where when one has a deep longing, a deep sense of separation and desperation, in that moment the object of love becomes palpably more close to one's heart. It's very mystical. So this is what we will discuss today. So first we were learning from the warriors. Then yesterday we were learning from Krishna. But in order to understand Viraha, we can't learn from Krishna. Even Krishna doesn't know what that Viraha is. Therefore he says, Radhikera Prema Guru Amishishyanat. In this matter, maybe people call me the teacher of the world, but in this matter, only Shri Radha knows. So therefore this is a very confidential subject matter. No qualification, only trying to repeat. But the devotees, to speak about the devotees is very, very powerful. Just looking out and the clouds are here, the sky is here, and once there was a conference of sages and the sages asked, who is the greatest? So one sage put the hand up and said, the sky is the greatest, look at the sky. What can be more greater than the sky? And then another sage put his hand up and said, no, you're wrong. The clouds are greater because the clouds can cover the sky. Another sage said, no, you're wrong. The wind is greater because the wind can move the clouds. The sage said, no, you're wrong. It's the mountain because the mountain stops the wind. No. Another sage put his hand up. Every sage has to have a different thought. He said, no, you're wrong. It's the earth, because the earth is holding the mountain. Then another sage said, no, you're all wrong. It's God. Obviously it's God, because God is holding the earth. And then God appeared and said, no, you're all wrong. It's my devotee, because my devotee is holding me. It's very sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanyetena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. The Bhagavatam tells us that the devotee is in the heart of the Lord. The Lord doesn't know anything else apart from the devotee mutually doesn't know anything but the Lord. Very, very confidential, very, very close relationship. And therefore, Krishna is the greatest of all, but the bhakta, the devotee, the one who has bhakti, conquers even the Supreme Lord. Rupa Goswami is explaining Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that there are many effects of devotional service. Kleshagni Shubhada Moksha Laguta Krit Sudurlabha Sandrananda Visheshatma Shri Krishna Karshini Jasa. He says there are many effects that take place when you practice devotional service. But what does it all culminate in? There are 6 effects, but where does it all culminate? The culmination of devotional service is Shri Krishna Karshini. That bhakti is so powerful that it attracts, it conquers, and it completely subjugates even Krishna. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says Krishna means the all-attractive, but simultaneously the all-attracted. Attracted by devotion, attracted by bhakti. So, who is the greatest devotee? So therefore, we have to move towards the topics of Srimati Radharani, which are very, very confidential. And here we are beginning to understand a level of devotion which even Krishna doesn't understand. And so today, we're moving there to our ultimate meaning. See, yesterday I was explaining that the Bhagavad Gita tells us our dharma, and I was explaining that there is Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma, isn't it? We were talking about all of this. But after Krishna has meticulously told all of these things, with full faith, with full conviction, with full logic and argument, finally, at the end of the whole conversation, Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Just forget all of this. Sarva Dharman Parityaja means there's all these duties, but really speaking, there's only one duty. Always think of me and never forget me. That's what Krishna means when he says Sarva Dharman Parityaja. There's only one meaning. If you do all your dharmas, but you don't get to this point, Dharma svanustita pumsham vishvakshena kathashuya notpadayed yadi ratim shramma eva hi kevalam. If there's no rati, if you don't develop the attraction, shramma eva hi kevalam is like you can't get more emphatic than that in Sanskrit, because eva means certainly, he means like indeed, certainly. Kevalam, it means completely, shrama, a useless waste of time. So therefore, when Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityaja, sometimes people get bewildered because they think, what is Krishna then telling us to do, a dharma? Therefore, even in India, sometimes people think it's a misprint. Maybe Krishna is saying Sarva Adharma Parityaja. No, Krishna is saying Sarva Dharma Parityaja. But Krishna is saying, don't give it up and descend into adharma, elevate yourself and get to parodharma. In other words, in the life of a devotee, at one point they should realize, Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaisho nasudra. I'm not man or woman, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not a speaker, I'm not any of these things. I'm just a devotee of Krishna. So we say this is the only religion when you perfect it, you stop being part of the religion. You practice this religion, and when you actually perfect this religion, you stop being part of it. Because then you realize, I'm not this religion, I'm not this role, I'm not any of these, I'm just a servant of Krishna. So, Srimati Radharani is representing the topmost realization of Sarva Dharman Parityaja, because that's what she did. That's what all the gopis did. They gave up everything. They gave up all their identities and they just ran to Krishna. And so then Krishna says, I have to look to her to understand what is this. I said it, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. I was giving the great instruction. But who did it? I said it intellectually. I said it instructively. But who did it? I didn't do it. They did it. Therefore, Krishna always has to look in that direction when you want a practical example. Anyone can say, but who is doing? So that's why the gopis are so exalted, Sri Radha is so exalted, because they're actually showing the perfection that Krishna is teaching. So we turn to the Bhagavatam, and we turn to a very beautiful part of the Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, and specifically we know the Rasa Panchadhyaya, the very confidential chapters where Krishna and the gopis are meeting. And the way it begins is that in the 29th chapter, Krishna plays his flute. Shriman Rasara Sarambhi Vamshiva Tatatastita Karshan Venu Swaner Gopi Gopinath Hai Shriye Sunaha. Gopinath, that's a very long flute. And Karshan Venu, by his flute sound, he attracts. So he attracts them, they come, all of us are aware of what happens. They come, Krishna says, why have you come? You called us. No, you're mad, you've given up. Sarva dharman parityaja. I thought that's what you said. No, I said it, but you're mad. Anyway, then they come like this. Finally, Krishna, then they engage in their pastimes. But as you know, Krishna, his modus operandi is always to appear, then disappear, then to appear, then disappear. So Krishna disappears, gopis are thrown into a madness of separation. And then they begin searching for Krishna everywhere, asking all the trees, all the flowers, all the entities of Braj, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Hey Radhe Vraja Devike Chalalite, hey Nanda Suno Kuta, where is he? And then they see Krishna's footprints. Krishna's footprints. All the signs, the flag, the fish, the concentric circles, the thunderbolt, the line, the umbrella. Wow, there's Krishna's footprints. And then they look a little closer. And then there's another set of footprints merged together. Someone's walking with Krishna. Who is that walking with Krishna? I thought Krishna abandoned all of us. No, but there's someone walking with Krishna. Who is it? And of course we know Sri Radha has her own signs. They look, oh, that's Sri Radha. So this, the Acharya says, the first direct stroke, indirect mention of Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavatam. And that's the verse that we'll read today. So can repeat after me. Anayaradhito nunam Bhagavan Haririshvara Yanma Vihaya Govinda Pritoyam Anayadraha Anayaradhito nunam Bhagavan Haririshvara Yanma Vihaya Govinda Pritoyam Anayadraha Anayaradhito nunam Bhagavan Haririshvara Yanma Vihaya Govinda Pritoyam Anayadraha. Ladies. translation and purport by the disciples of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Certainly, this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, the sage Sukadev Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy. And thus the word Aradhita is like the rumbling of a kettle drum sounded to announce her great good fortune. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radharani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Sri Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So, yes, this is a very, very celebrated verse because the whole Bhagavatam is actually meant to reveal the glories, actually, of the love between Krishna and his devotees, and of all devotees, the gopis, and of all gopis, Srimati Radharani. But it's very, very interesting. It's very extraordinary that Radharani's name is not mentioned directly in the whole book. It's like you have 18,000 verses which is meant to bring all the fame, all the glory, which is meant to highlight Krishna's greatest devotee, and her name doesn't appear. So this is very, very mystical, and this is why actually you'll find in many Vaishnava traditions the full glory of Srimati Radharani is not fully understood. Sometimes people ask if the Gita is the Vedanta Sar, if it's the essence of everything, where's Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavad Gita? Where is she? Is she in the Bhagavad Gita? Where is Srimati Radharani in the Srimad Bhagavatam? We don't see her name. So people so often wonder, why not revealed? But actually when one looks closely, she is there. Because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the Bhagavad Gita is like a jewel box. First 6 are like the base, last 6 are like the cover, and the middle 6 are the jewel of the Bhagavad Gita. Of the middle 6, obviously the jewel, the 9th is said to be the most confidential knowledge. And in the 9th chapter, 9:13, if you count the verses of the Gita, is the 350th verse of the Gita. The verse right in the middle. Remember, you can count it, the Gita is exactly 700 verses, and the 350th verse is in the 9th chapter, which is the most confidential knowledge. And that 9th chapter is within the middle 6, which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says is the jewel of the entire book. And what does that verse say? Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. And it's very interesting when you see Prabhupada quote this verse and commentate on it. Then he explains, Mahatmanas, what do the great souls do? Devim, Prakritim, Ashrita. They take full shelter of who? The Devi Prakriti. And when Prabhupada talks about that verse, he mentions that that means Srimati Radharani. So in the middle of Krishna's entire conversation, where he's revealing the essence of all knowledge, and everyone's wondering, well, Sri Radha's not here. If you look at the 350th verse, then it's actually an indication of Srimati Radharani, and what the great souls do, they take shelter of her. Just a side note on that, if you look at 914, which is the 300 and obviously 51st, you can see my mathematical abilities here. Then what does Krishna say in that verse? He's continuing to describe the Mahatmas, and what does he say? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drida vrita namasyantastu mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashate. Think about this. The two middle verses of the Bhagavad Gita, the first one says, the great devotees take shelter of Srimati Radharani, and the great devotees are always chanting the holy name. Sound familiar to you? Who does that sound like? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is already telling us what his next project is going to be. He's saying, in my next project, I'm going to have an internal purpose. Devim prakritim ashrita. I'm going to take shelter of the mood of Sri Radha. And in my next incarnation, my second project will be Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. I'm going to come and I'm going to drown the world in Harinam Sankirtan by Kirtaniya Sadahari, always chanting the holy name. So it's all these things are there, very confidential. And then where is Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavatam? Well, we know the Bhagavatam, the Acharyas say, is the form of Krishna. And then we know that the 10th canto is the smiling face, or sometimes described as the heart of Krishna. And if the 10th canto is the heart of Krishna, then it's said that 29 to 33, chapters 29 to 33, are said to be the 5 life airs. And there, if you go in the 5 life airs, then you get to chapter 30 and text number 28. And that's the verse that we're reading now. Again, right in the heart of the scripture, Srimati Radharani is indicated. And then what happens is Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then in the CC, there's nothing to conceal. Then everything is let loose. Then everything is, Krishna spills the beans. Everything comes out. So therefore, if you read the Adi Leela, chapter 4, then the full explanation of Radha Tattva is given completely by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So what we're seeing here in the scripture is that Sri Radha is constantly present, constantly glorified, constantly elevated in the most supreme position, but it's done in different ways in different scriptures. For example, if you wanted to introduce your spiritual master, or if you wanted to glorify your spiritual master and you were in front of a Vyasa Puja, then you'd say certain things. But now if you were doing some corporate program in the world, you wouldn't give a Vyasa Puja offering. You'd glorify your spiritual master, but in an appropriate way to that forum or that purpose. Or for example, I once had to fill out a visa application for my spiritual master. So I resisted writing a Vyasa Puja offering on the visa application. You just glorify in the appropriate way. So the point is that the glorification of a personality must be appropriate to the occasion. And therefore all the scriptures highlight Sri Radha, but in their own way. But what this also shows us is that the glory of Sri Radha must be approached very, very, with great reverence, with great care and attention, with great Pujala Raghava Gaurava Bhange. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, we hold that conception above our heads. It's worshipable, not something fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But still, Sri Radha must be illuminated. That is the Gaudiya. The Gaudiyas are not. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, some people are interested in Radha because of her connection with Krishna. We're only interested in Krishna because of his connection with Radha. So that's the Gaudiyas. They are not worshippers of Krishna, they're worshippers first of Sri Radha, but again, must be done appropriately. So you may be thinking, what does this all have to do with Kurukshetra? But it has a lot to do with Kurukshetra, because Krishna came to Kurukshetra twice. Yes, Krishna came to Kurukshetra to speak the Bhagavad Gita, but actually many years before that, Krishna had already come to Kurukshetra. Now here, this is a table. It's very difficult to fully delineate the timeline of Krishna's life. This has been put together by His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu. But obviously, acharyas differ on dates. But basically, we're understanding that Krishna was on the planet for 125 years, and first 11 years were in Vraj, Sri Vrindavan Dham. That is, we know that, that's clear, that's very beautiful. And that is Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajay Satanayas, the Dham of Vrindavanam. So here what you're seeing on the screen, this is the meditation actually of the Gaudiyas. This is the meditation. However, we know that Krishna does tend to move around and appear and disappear. So we know at one point Krishna did leave Vrindavan, although more confidentially, Vrindavanam parityaja padamekam nagachiti. Krishna never leaves, but externally he left. And then Krishna went to Mathura. There again, the years also differ. Some say 18, 19, 20, something of that nature. Krishna was there in Mathura. And there, obviously, Krishna was busy killing a lot of people. And then finally, Krishna created the beautiful city of Dwarka, and then transported all his family members there. And then for the remaining 95, 96 or so years, Krishna was based in Dwarka. So this is Krishna's life, but here you can see, for our purposes today, here and here. Krishna is making some excursions sometimes. So Krishna, when here on this chart it says 90, there are other opinions. It says Krishna went to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and there he spoke Bhagavad Gita. But many years before, Krishna had already gone to Kurukshetra. That was a very, very special trip, a very, very confidential trip. And that's where this third dimension of Kurukshetra is revealed to us. As was mentioned, and as we discussed last year, the most emotional scene in the entirety of the Bhagavatam is when Krishna leaves Vrindavan. That picture we saw, that picture we meditate on, that picture remains completely inconceivable. The emotions that the gopis must have felt. They were young, they were vulnerable, they had given up their whole hearts to Krishna. They had no formal tie with Krishna. They had no guarantee that he was going to come back. And Krishna just started going off. And as Krishna started going off on the chariot, then Krishna did the unthinkable. As if they already weren't in pain, as if they already weren't in the madness of separation, Krishna did something which amplified it even more. Ayasya iti dautake, the Bhagavatam says. He sent a duta, a messenger. As the chariot was pulling away from Braj, Krishna just did something which intensified everything to the next degree. He sent a messenger back. And what did he send the messenger back with the message? Ayasya. I will return. Disappointment is painful. Hopeless disappointment is even more painful. But hopeful disappointment is the worst. When there's hopeless disappointment and you know there's no chance of anything turning around, at one point inside of yourself, you surrender to it and you learn to deal with it. But when there's hopeful disappointment, I will return. The gopis said, now we can't die, and now at the same time we can't live. We can't live without you. We can't die because you said you're going to return. We can't live, we can't die. What do? We're just living as ghosts. We're in a suspended existence. So therefore, this was the condition, as we know, of the gopis. Krishna went away. I will return. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, no sign. Where's Krishna? He said he's going to come back. Didn't return. So then what happens is on a solar eclipse, when people go to holy places in order to counteract all the influences and accrue whatever benefits they can, people go to holy places. So on the occasion of a solar eclipse, then everyone descended to Kurukshetra. Everyone from all around the lands, all around, they all came to Kurukshetra, and Krishna came there with the Dwarkavasis, with his entourage. And there Krishna arrived. And there, on this timeline, it says when Krishna was 45, so that means 30 years or so after Krishna had left Braj. For the first time after 30 years, imagine meeting someone after 30 years. Now imagine meeting Krishna after 30 years. Now imagine being the gopis meeting Krishna after 30 years. We can't imagine it, but... So they came there, the gopis came, Krishna came. And there, what was exchanged between the gopis and Krishna is inconceivable to the mind. They saw each other. What kind of emotions they were going through, we can only approach from a distance. We can see a picture like this and think, what is it? What was happening there? But basically, the gopis were seeing Krishna. And this was agonizing because they were seeing Krishna and in a sense they weren't seeing Krishna. What do you mean they weren't seeing Krishna? He was there. No, but this is not the Krishna we know. This is not the environment that we know. This is not the dynamic of relationship that we know. This royal Krishna, so formal, with so many people around him, in this dharmic situation in Kurukshetra, we're meeting Krishna, but it's like we're not meeting Krishna. In one sense, our separation has been mitigated by seeing Krishna, but in another sense, our separation ensues because we can't connect with Krishna. And therefore, this whole scene, the acharyas say, represents a type of separation which is now being elevated to higher and higher degrees. Because, as they say in English, so close and yet so far. It's more agonizing when something is in your reach and you can't. So this is basically what is going on at Kurukshetra, and this is why Kurukshetra is known as the Viraha Kshetra. It's the place where the separation of the greatest devotees towards their greatest object of love is amplified to the greatest degree. And therefore, the emotions here are something that are highlighted by every single Gaudiya Acharya. Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had come to the world as Krishna to experience Radha. His project was now, I'm going to experience what Srimati Radharani was experiencing. So part of his project then has to be that he has to experience what Srimati Radharani experienced at Kurukshetra, because that's part of it. It's a very important part of it. So what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita reveals to the world is that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at Jagannath Puri, then he basically simulated what Srimati Radharani was experiencing at Kurukshetra when she met Krishna. And therefore here you see the roles are reversed. Now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Radha Bhav. Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Krishna Nomi Swarupam. So now this is Krishna experiencing the mood of Radha. Jagannath is Krishna, Dwaraka Krishna, who has come after 45 years to Kurukshetra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani, and the Brajabasi is now looking at Krishna on this chariot. We're with Krishna again after so many years of separation. We're so close, but yet we're so far. We're here in Kurukshetra. We need to go to Vrindavan. This is not the place to have pastimes. This is not the environment in which we can experience and express our deepest emotions. And therefore they are pulling the cart. They are pulling the cart. We all have heard this. And this represents, we need to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing this. He's now experiencing what Srimati Radharani was experiencing, the height of separation, the height of longing, the height of desperation. And he doesn't have the words. He doesn't have the words to express it. He can't even quote a verse from Shastra because no one has been able to encapsulate these feelings in a verse. So he can't even quote anything. So then Mahaprabhu quotes this verse, which is actually just the verse of mundane love poetry. So everyone is completely baffled seeing Mahaprabhu, and then they're even more bewildered when they hear Mahaprabhu reciting this verse, because now Mahaprabhu, who's the consummate sannyasi, is reciting mundane love poetry in front of Jagannath. Ya kaumara harasa eva hivaras ta eva chaitrakshapas te chon milita malati surabhaya prodha kadam banila sache vasmi tathapi tatra surata vyapara lila vido reva rodasi vetasi tarutale chaita samutkanthate. Mahaprabhu is in front of the Jagannath Rath Yatra cart. Tears are streaming from his eyes. He's experiencing this deep separation and he's reciting this verse. And nobody knows what he means. Nobody knows what's going through his mind. Nobody can make any sense of it. There's only one person who can make sense of it, and that is Swarup Damodar. Everyone else is mystified. That very person, I mean, you have to think of it. Imagine you're at Rath Yatra, a sannyasi, gets the mic, nowadays everyone's going to lead the kirtan, and then he just starts singing, last Christmas, he gave me my heart. Very next day, you think like, what's going on here? So it's very like, we have to try to understand what's going on, and nobody understands. Mahaprabhu is saying, that very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of the malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva, underneath the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. So Swarup Damodar understands. Everyone else is confused. But there's one other person who understands. That person is a mastermind, because that person has mastered their own mind. But that person also knows the mind of their master. Shri Chaitanya Mano bhishtam stapitam yena bhutale svayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam. Rupa. Rupa Goswami. He knows. He's the Rasacharya. He has been impregnated, imparted with all the deepest realizations. So then Rupa Goswami is observing the whole scene, and then he goes back and he thinks deeply, he meditates, and then he writes down a verse. And this verse is perhaps his greatest composition ever, because what he basically does is decodes this verse and helps the world to understand who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is his mood, what is he thinking, and what is he actually expressing in this verse. And therefore, this is the verse that Rupa Goswami composes. Priya soyam Krishna sahachari Kurukshetra militas Tathaham saradha tadidamubhayo sangama sukham Tathapyantha kelan madhura murali panchamajuse Mano me kalindi pulina vipinaya sprihayati. This is his decoding of what Mahaprabhu was expressing. Srimati Radharani is speaking, my dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So here, by the mercy of Rupa Goswami, by the mercy of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we get a glimpse into the mind of Krishna, the mind of Srimati Radharani, some of the deep desperation, longing, separation that they're feeling between each other. We can only sit with these verses and chant and pray and soften and purify our hearts and pray that one day we can actually understand the depth of what is being expressed here. Here we can just put it on a PowerPoint, very nice, and look at it. But it doesn't penetrate the heart necessarily until that genuine purity is there. And so this is the separation that Kurukshetra is teaching us. And we've been hearing here, Mahaprabhu is crying, Srimati Radharani is crying. And over these days, that's what we've been hearing, that we have to cry. Bhadahari Prabhu was beautifully quoting the article from the Krishna Kathamrita Bindu of how two things are necessary: an understanding of our deep unworthiness and a simultaneous understanding of the great magnanimity and kindness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when both of those come together and we cry and sing for Krishna, then we are emulating that mood of Kurukshetra, of Rath Yatra. So these tears, Sachinanda Maharaj was explaining, there are different types of tears. The tears of the body, the tears of physical pain, the tears of the mind, the tears of emotional pain. But then there's the tears of the soul, the Atma Krandan. And that is the price. Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dhan. Bhakti E Krishna Namer Smarana Krandan. If one wants to purchase Bhakti Yoga, the wealth, very easy. Bhakti E Krishna Namer, take Krishna's name, Smarana Krandan. Chant it, remember it, always crying. So how can you cry if you don't feel separation? So that is the mood that we're trying to develop. And Rupa Goswami is basically explaining that there are different types of separation. Purvarag means the separation that you feel before meeting the object of your love. Man means the separation that you feel when there is a distance of pride between the lover and the beloved. Even though you're together, there's a sulkiness, a pride, a anger with each other which creates a separation. Then there is prema vaichitya, which means the separation that two lovers feel even when they're within each other's midst. Because of the imminence of separation, the prospect of separation, they already feel separation even when they are together. And pravas means the type of separation when lovers are separated by time and space. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, as we've also heard this week, that there's one type of separation that the sadhaka can develop. And that separation is purvarag, the anticipation of meeting Krishna, the separation that one feels in anticipation. And therefore he writes this very, very beautifully. So I'll just read this. It is essential for sadhaka jivas to cultivate only the mood of vipralamba. And because they have never experienced meeting with Krishna, their vipralamba will come only in the category of purva rag. But without ever having met Krishna, how can they experience separation in purva rag from him? The answer: by hearing the Leela Katha of Sri Krishna from others, purva rag is awakened. This was the case with the Dvijapatnis as well as the ladies of Mathura before Krishna's arrival there. Rukmini also had never seen Krishna, but by hearing about him from Sri Narad, purvarag arose within her heart. Thus she became exceedingly anxious to meet with Krishna. Similarly, by hearing from the Guru and Vaishnavas, or by reading the Shastras, the jivas may have purvarag vipralamba awakened within their hearts. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving an incredible illumination here, that if one hears from Vaishnavas, if one hears from the Shastra, if one exposes their mind to the Leela Katha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his loving exchanges with his devotees, one will develop a deep anticipation. And in that anticipation, when it becomes increased to a superlative degree, the anticipation will trigger a separation. Because when you anticipate something so much, you cannot wait. And when you cannot wait, you feel a deep separation of not being connected with that in the present. Everyone has some anticipation, but when anticipation grows to a superlative degree, then separation must descend. Because one comes to the point of saying, I want it, and I want it now. I can't wait. And when one feels that level of anticipation, then separation must occur. Because one realizes, I can't live without this. So this is very, very high. But this is our project. This is the gift of our acharyas. So Kurukshetra, the Viraha, the longing, the desperation, the mirror of this in Jagannath Puri, the tears, these verses, all of this is drawing us to realize we need to increase this anticipation to the degree that it becomes separation. And when one then chants the holy name with that level of separation, then tears must drop from your eye. Then there's no way. Therefore, Indradyumna Maharaj once said very beautifully in a lecture, he said, all of the study, all of the austerities, all of the service, all of the endeavors in our devotional life are just so that one day we can sit in one corner of the room, chant one holy name of Krishna, and experience one genuine teardrop fall from the eye. If one comes to that point, then one has successfully completed their project. And so these statements, where Kurukshetra is so glorified, to the extent that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, Kurukshetra is the best place for bhajan. Only bogus, hollow people desire Vrindavan. We'll qualify that in a second. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is also glorified as the revealer of Kurukshetra. Purushottam Kshetra obviously means Jagannath Puri, and Alalanath. Alalanath is also a great place of separation, because when Jagannath goes into seclusion, then Jagannath goes to Alalanath, and then Mahaprabhu is crying there in Alalanath in separation. So how can Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say Vrindavan is for hollow, bogus people? What does he mean? Because Rupa Goswami has already said, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tistan Vrajay Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayad Akilamityupadesha Saram. How do you put these two together? On one hand, Rupa Goswami is writing the Upadeshamrita, the essence of all instructions. Right in the middle, he says the essence of all instructions, Tistan Vrajay, Tadanuragi, you should always live in Vrindavan. And then here is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saying, hollow, bogus people want to be in Vrindavan. How do you put it together? These are statements of ecstasy. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying this, he is revealing that service to Srimati Radharani is the highest aspiration of the Gaudiya. And service is most coveted by the devotees when the necessity of that service is at the greatest. So Sri Radha in her separation at Kurukshetra is needing the help. And any devotee who then serves Sri Radha in her greatest separation is drawing the mercy of Srimati Radharani and making their life successful. And therefore, Kurukshetra is seen as a place of service. And so we can say, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying only hollow, bogus people want to go to Vrindavan, what he's saying is that our highest aspiration should be service. Not to go to Vrindavan only for our own enjoyment, for our own selfish ends, because I want to go to Vrindavan. First, there must be the service mood. When the service mood is very strong, when the service mood is very pure, then one can see Vrindavan. But one cannot force their way into Vrindavan. One cannot rush into Vrindavan. One must only stand as a beggar, saying, all I have to offer is my service. And then in that mood of service, Braj will open up. So like this, even though Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur even said, Kurukshetra is the best place for bhajan, we see that in the end of their life, they didn't actually go to Kurukshetra for bhajan. But what they are telling us is that Kurukshetra and the dimension of Kurukshetra as the Viraha Kshetra has a very deep meaning for us. That when we develop this separation, when we develop this longing, when we develop the mood and the emotion that was expressed in Kurukshetra, then the purity of that bhajan will open the doors to Braj. And so that is our aspiration to, as was said in Rupa Goswami's verse, the final line of the verse, my wish is to hear Krishna playing the flute in the forests of Braj, and when he hits that fifth note, then my heart just jumps. So that is our aspiration, and I thought we could just end with a meditation. Is that okay? Okay, so we're just going to meditate a little bit on Krishna's flute. So I ask you to sit up very straight, and please close your eyes, and we will try to connect with the sound of Krishna's flute and meditate on that beautiful sound. Krishna's flute is an extension of his beauty. It is the most beautiful sound imaginable. Krishna can sing very beautifully, but it is the sound of his flute, not his voice, that echoes throughout Vrindavan. The flute is the simplest of musical instruments. A mere hollow stick, but it gives forth a clear, pure, simple sound that can ignite deep separation and intense excitement. The sound of Krishna's flute is more than a melody. Krishna's flute is a call to come to him. The call of Krishna's flute cares nothing for this world and its moral and social laws. It hijacks the heart and cannot be denied. By means of his flute, Krishna fills himself and the universe with bliss. The sound of his flute puts an abrupt end to man's mechanical, habitual activity, as well as an end to the predictable movements of nature. Krishna's flute explodes upon the world and society, insisting that all else be forgotten. It is time, it proclaims, to join his symphony of joy, to frolic in the forest, to enter his world of infinite possibility. Krishna's flute incites the world to dance. It invites man to return to that carefree, magical world of his youth. Krishna is the master magician, ruling over the eternal playground, and his wand is his flute. So this was sometimes nice just to stop, take a break from the battlefield, and hear Krishna's flute, a call to the eternal playground. So now I just come to the end. His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj very beautifully explained to us the 5 principles that Lord Chaitanya comes to teach the world. Prema Pumartho, that love is our ultimate goal. Bhagavan Vrajay Satanayas, that Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is the object of that love. The Dhama Vrindavanam, that Vrindavan is the land of love. Ramyaka Chidupasana Vrajavadu, there are the milkmaids, the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the ideal example of love. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, and that Bhagavatam is the handbook which teaches us how to develop that love. So this was very, very beautifully explained by His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj. And what I try to share with you is that Kurukshetra has 3 dimensions. It's a place of fighting, a place of struggle. It's also a place of regulating, a place of meaning, a place of religiosity. And it's also a place of longing, a place of deep separation. And what I try to share with you over these days is that if we fight the good fight, struggle to overcome our anarthas, we infuse our life with meaning, with purpose, with contribution, with service, and then we hear about Krishna and develop a deep longing to go back to the eternal playground, then via Kurukshetra and the lessons we learned there, maybe one day we can enter the most cherished abode of Sri Vrindavan Dham, where we can remain frozen in eternity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, thank you very much. So I guess we have a short time. If there are any questions either on this session or on the progression or anything you would like to ask. Okay, yes.
Hare Krishna, Keshava Maharaj, thank you for this very amazing, heart-touching presentation. I have actually a question to what you spoke yesterday on Swadharma and Sanatana Dharma. Could it be, or I believe there is, for a devotee who's not in a sannyasa ashram, that kind of his Swadharma is practically his Sanatana Dharma, and or a devotee who then, that devotee thinks, well, I have a Sanatana Dharma and is trying many things, but it seems not to work out. What would you, if you feel that that's the case for the devotee, what would you recommend to him, to her?
I got the first bit. You said that as a devotee, Swadharma can be their Sanatana Dharma.
Yeah.
And then what was the second bit after that?
Like, and that devotee may try to figure out what's his Swadharma and is kind of failing to, like, Sanatana Dharma, sorry, I'm mixing it up, his Swadharma thinking I have some engagement in this world, which I need to do, but I'm failing because he's perhaps not realizing, oh, I'm close to Sanatana Dharma, I should be engaged in Sanatana Dharma because that's my Sanatana Dharma. What would you recommend?
Okay, I don't know if I've fully grasped your question. I'll say something, and then if I miss the point, you can ask me. Eventually, we want to come to the point where we live an integrated life. Ultimately, Krishna is saying in the Gita, Yat karoshi, yadashnashi, yat juhoshi, dadashi, yat tapasya shikonteya, tat kurushva, madarpanam. Eventually, we want to try to carve out a life in which everything we do is connected to Krishna. Manasadeho geho jo kichumor arpilatu epade nanda kishore. Everything, my mind, my family, my body, everything is yours. So I think it's about, we begin by understanding what is my psychophysical nature. I need to survive in this world. I have responsibilities. How can I make it dharmic? How can I then connect it to Krishna as much as possible? So we start there. That's where we start with our swadharma. What is my nature? What do I need for my maintenance? How can I connect it to Krishna as much as possible? Then I think what a devotee's constant meditation is how can I bring more and more Krishna into my life, into my daily life? You know, how can I now perhaps make the way I do my living, perhaps I can make it also my preaching, for example. And that way, you know, it becomes more and more integrated. And then I think you can potentially get to a life where your swadharma and what you're doing for your own maintenance is not actually separate. You know, everything is directly connected. But what we're talking about when we say swadharma is we're basically just saying that we need to understand we have a body, we have a mind, we have social responsibilities, and we need to be aware of that. But eventually, when one becomes very, very when one's life is very integrated, then they can seamlessly do both. Let me give you a crude example. Like Mahaprabhu has an internal purpose and an external purpose. Okay? But what you'll find actually in Mahaprabhu's movement is that the internal and the external actually seamlessly integrate. So for example, I showed you Mahaprabhu at Rath Yatra. So Mahaprabhu's external purpose is to preach, and internally his purpose is to relish the mood of Sri Radha. So when Mahaprabhu is dancing in front of the Jagannath car, he's doing massive preaching. I mean, everyone is just like overcome by Krishna Prem. I mean, he's spreading the Sankirtan movement like anything. And at the same time, he's experiencing his very deep internal reason. For example, Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. So sannyas is great for preaching. So his external purpose is fulfilled. But what does sannyas mean internally? Vyavasayatmika, buddhi. So his sannyas fulfills his external purpose, and at the same time his sannyas fulfills his internal purpose. So the point I'm making is that when one becomes very integrated, then what they'll find is their internal, their external, their swadharma, their sanatan dharma, what they do for this, everything actually becomes Krishna. Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma. It's all Krishna. Krishna says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pasyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. Krishna says, one who sees me everywhere sees everything in me. I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So, like another example, sometimes people say like, you're a preacher, you have to give, but you may get compassion fatigue. So you have to take care of yourself as well, which is true. But when one becomes very advanced, their giving is receiving. It's very inconceivable. That's why the great souls can keep giving, and you're thinking, but where are they taking time for themselves? But they don't need to, because when they're giving, they're receiving. Because it's at a very high level of purity, they're nourished in that giving automatically. So I'm giving like very abstract examples, but I think you can make the connection. What I'm basically saying is that that's where we're trying to get to. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, did he really have a swadharma and a sanat? I mean, it was probably just so integrated that. Some thoughts. Okay, we'd go with one lady and then just to give everyone a chance.
Hi Krishna, thank you so much. It was a bit connected to my question. I was thinking, when I go out there and serve and try to do something, for preaching or whatnot, it seems like in the beginning it's really difficult to actually have that integration, as you said. Like I might maybe do my sadhana in the morning and feel connected to Krishna, but then during the day, in the actual service, I don't have that mentality, and so then it feels like I don't actually want the majority of my time to be dull in that sense, and or even it might even be even worse that maybe during the whole time it gets dull, and then maybe I go to a retreat at the end of it, and then I get now I'm offering this to Krishna, like in the end I offer everything to him. But how can you get to where while doing it you have that meditation?
Okay. So how can you, while out there in the world, constantly remember Krishna? I'm going to give you a very impractical answer. Or maybe it's the most practical, I don't know. You remember what's most important to you. Finished. You remember what's most important to you. We don't have to train ourselves to remind ourselves of sense gratification. We don't need to train ourselves to remember the person who broke our heart. How do I do it? How do I keep remembering them? It's very natural. Sometimes people think like, how do you do this? Man mana bhava mad bhakto, like engage your mind in always thinking of me. But imagine we change the words, engage your mind in always thinking of yourself. Become your own devotee. Offer everything to yourself. You'd be like, yeah, sounds good. No, go do that. Yeah. It's very natural, spontaneous devotional service. So we make it very mystical. Like, how do you remember Krishna all the time? It's like we make it like as though it's a very mystical thing. It's not mystical. Where your heart is, your mind goes. Finished. The heart is the charioteer. Mahaprabhu says that in Kaviraj Goswami says, the heart is the charioteer. It's very funny. The devotees came to Puri and they came to see Mahaprabhu and they didn't go to see Jagannath first. Mahaprabhu said, you haven't taken darshan of Jagannath. You came to Puri. You came all the way to Puri. You didn't take darshan of Jagannath. You came to see me first. That is just Jagannath Puri, not Chaitanya Puri. The heart is the charioteer. And wherever the heart is, the chariot must go. How do you give your heart to Krishna? That's a great science. Still working on it. So I have to just give you an impractical answer. It's hearing, chanting, longing to become deeply thoughtful. I've given so many lives to Maya, and all it did was let me down. Now, one life to Krishna. Try. Sorry, no more. No acronyms for that one. All right. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. You mentioned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uncovered the mirror of Kshetra in Jagannath Puri. I was wondering if you could kind of share more connection between Jagannath Puri and Kshetra. If there's any prior connection with Lord Jagannath as well.
Okay, that's a long story. Shall I go into that? I mean, so Krishna is in Dwarka, and So Krishna is, he's with all his queens and all his queens love him very much, but Krishna is only thinking of Braj. Right? Vrindavanam Parityaja, his mind is always there. So every night in Dwaraka, when he's with his queen, still he's remembering Braj. He's calling out the names of the cows, the names of the gopas, the names of the gopis. They're like next to Krishna. What's wrong with him? Like we're here. He's chanting the names of the Brajabasis. So the queens are mystified. What is it? What is it about Braj? What is it about Vrindavan that captures Krishna so much? They're completely mystified. They don't know. So they said, well, we were never in Braj, so we don't know what that was like. So they're looking around. Who was in Braj? Who was in Braj? Anyone here? Anyone here was in Braj? What's up with Krishna? What is it about Vrindavan? And then finally, they spot someone. Rohini. She was in Vrindavan. She must know what goes on there. What's going on there in Braj that makes Krishna so mad that he can't forget it? So they approach, the queens approach Rohini. Can you tell us what goes on in Braj? He said, oh no, that's very dangerous. What do you mean dangerous? Because if Krishna somehow hears me talking about Braj, already he's talking about all their names. If he hears me talk more about Braj, he'll go mad. So then the queens are like, no, we have to hear this. So they say, okay. We'll make a plan. We'll all be in a room. You start the katha. Subhadra will stay on the door. And what she'll do is she'll look out. And if Krishna and Balaram are coming, then she'll shout to us, and then we'll stop the katha. Full proof. Katha begins. Rohini starts describing what goes on in Braj, what goes on the banks of the Yamuna. They're running around, in the forest, by Govardhan Hill. They're explaining everything. Subhadra goes into ecstasy. Now she's on the door. Door person has to be alert. In India, the door person's never alert. So Subhadra's in ecstasy now. She's like, her eyes are big, her body is stunted. She's like completely... Krishna and Balaram are coming. They're continuing on in there. Because they're thinking when they come, there's going to be a sign. But there's no sign, so it's all good. So they carry on. Subhadra's going more into ecstasy. Krishna and Balaram are coming. Krishna and Balaram come close. They look, see Subhadra. She's in ecstasy. What's going on here? So they come. Krishna and Balaram come next to Subhadra. Then they begin to overhear what's going on. Rohini's talking about Braj and Yamuna and Govardhan and this and that. Krishna and Balaram go into ecstasy. So now Krishna, Balaram have big eyes. They're stunted. So now there's three. Subhadra, Balaram, Krishna, all completely mad. And then guess who comes? Narad Muni. Narad Muni appears, sees all of them in that ecstasy and says, one day this form should be visible to the whole universe. In Shri Kshetra, Purushottam Kshetra, Jagannath Puri Dham. So that's the connection between Puri and Dwaraka. Because Jagannath is basically Dwarikadish Krishna, who's in ecstasy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani, who's in ecstasy thinking about Krishna. So then what happens in Jagannath Puri is there is an explosion. Because here you have Krishna in the height, Mahaprabhu in the height, boom. And they see each other, and then that's what Kaviraj Goswami is explaining. So that's how Jagannath and Dwarikadish and Mahaprabhu and all of these things are. So there's more, but we should not go into too much because time is going. So I think we should end here, is it? Okay, last question.
Can you explain me unworthy. I feel like, how can I continue to act if I feel unworthy?
But Bharahari Prabhu explained to us the second thing along with feeling unworthy, which is understanding the great magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kaviraj Goswami is speaking in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm lower than the worm in the stool. I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai. Anyone who hears my name loses all their pious credits. I mean, he really feels unworthy. But then in the very next verse, but I got the mercy of Nityananda. You can feel it when he writes, as though he's dancing. And I got the mercy of Nityananda. So yes, of course we feel unworthy. I mean, we can't speak for anyone else. We can only speak for ourselves. But when we look at our discipline, how much mercy we received, how much knowledge we got, how many opportunities we were given. We come in front of Krishna, we have so much to ask for, but if we would really pause, we would say, you know what, Krishna, you've given me way more than I could ever want in my whole life. And what have I done with it? Therefore, a devotee feels like that. I haven't not reciprocated. What have I done? I got so much. What does it mean to get the holy name? What does it mean to get a connection with a Mahabhagavat like Srila Prabhupada? What does it mean to have the association of Vaishnavas? What does all of these things mean? We take it very light. And then what are we doing to reciprocate with it? So in that sense, a devotee feels very unworthy. But then a devotee knows, but Mahaprabhu is so kind. Therefore, hope against hope, right? It's once they asked Jayapataka Maharaj, how do you get Nityananda Prabhu's mercy? Jayapataka Maharaj looked back, he was confused. He said, how do you get Nityananda Prabhu's mercy? The real question is, how do you avoid Nityananda Prabhu's mercy? Patra apatra vicharna hina histan astan je jone paye tane kare prema dhan. Patra vichar nahi stan astan. The Panchatattva don't even consider this place or that place, this person or that person. Je jone payatane kare prema dhan. They just give. Mahavadanyaya. What does it mean, Mahavadanyaya? That Mahaprabhu is the most merciful. He gives the highest thing to the lowest people in the easiest way. That's what it means to be Mahavadanyaya. You give the highest thing to the lowest people in the easiest way. I mean, he's trying hard here. It's like, so that's why that's why Prabodhananda Saraswati says, only when you dive into the oceanic pastimes of Mahaprabhu can you arrive at the banks of Braj. Therefore, to even try to approach Vrindavan without Mahaprabhu, without the Sankirtan movement, to try to understand Bhagavatam without the CC, to try to perfect your spiritual life without the Gora Bhaktas, so that is our hope. So, Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Duskaram Sukharam Bhavet Vishmrite Viparisham Shat Sri Chaitanyam Nam. Even that which is difficult becomes easy when you're connected with Mahaprabhu. So that's our hope within our unworthiness. So continue developing that deep sense of unworthiness and continue developing that deep sense of hope that I'm part of the greatest movement on the planet. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has promised he will help. And I think we'll end there. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Tonis Bhagwan Keshava Maharaja ki
Jai!
Thank you so much. I think it was a beautiful point where we ended with the mercy of Lord Nityananda. It gives us really hope because such a high topic we're hearing. But yeah, this gives us hope. So we are at our last day of the retreat, and just give a short overview of the remaining programs and a few other announcements. So we have, of course, at 11:30 we have the last part of the workshop. It's on with the Kshetra here in the temple room, 11:30. And then there is an extra program which was not originally announced. There will be another program, a youth program with His Holiness Keshava, and this will take place behind the Khina house. And there is a meadow behind. So there will be progress for the youth, okay? Specifically for them. This is at 2:15. And then, of course, one of the highlights, which the way we conclude this wonderful retreat is with a special drama, Mahabharata drama. At 4 o'clock, this will be on the other meadow, on this side. And it starts at 4 o'clock, so we request everyone to be there in time. It's not 4:30, but it is 4 o'clock. And please do come a little earlier so that we can settle in and prepare and then start in time at 4 o'clock. It will be a 2-hour drama, and after that, of course, there is. Yes, Maharaja wants to emphasize, okay, there should be a little bit more enthusiasm in the announcement. This is an amazing drama. You can't miss it. So don't miss it. And then there is prashad, and then 7 o'clock arti, and at 7:30 we'll come again to the temple room, and then is the final kirtan. And also there, this is also one of the highlights, this last kirtan. You can imagine all the emotion and ecstasy in the last kirtan at the evening. But we like to start at 7:30 with some closing words. So Sachinanda Maharaj will be there, and address us with say some concluding words. So also please try to be in time at 7:30 here in the temple. That's the other one. And then we have final kirtan with Maharajas, Prabhu, and the Kirtanis. And so that's about the program for today. And just a reminder, as we mentioned yesterday, there is more programs on the weekend. On Saturday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the Lake of Zurich, we have a Harinam and the lecture together with His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj. And also on Sunday at the Zurich Temple, the whole Sunday program with Maharaj also.
And if other like Maharaj, Brother Hari, and Keshava Maharaj are there, of course, with them also.
Yes, I mean, I think I know that Kshetra Maharaj and you will also support that Saturday. Yeah. But yeah, we will have other devotees. Those friends you have made here, many of them will be also there, and many other devotees who join that event. And just another one. Yes, this is a very small point, but still I was requested to announce. Someone lost their bead bag. There is a bead bag missing. It's a white bead bag with blue stripes and blue counting. If anyone saw that bead bag, please, maybe you can return it to me. This bead bag is, as probably it's crying somewhere, waiting for this. Okay, so that's from my side. I will hand over to Shamananda Prabhu, who will have to explain a few things about the how we act the retreat with some practical announcement.
Yes, Hare Krishna, thank you for your attention. As you might know, or as you not might know, we are the only group and the biggest group who can own that house for a whole week during the year. So we have a very special concession. And for tomorrow morning we need your help. I'll not say it in acronyms, but I'll say that there's one principle and 4 details you have to serves. So please pack your things before morning prasad. That will be already at 7:30. And then afterwards, there's the one principle: take out everything from the room that you brought. That doesn't mean only the luggage, it means all the other things you brought. Then the details are clean your sink. If you have a non-bathroom, clean your bathroom. Then take out all the trash and bring down the laundry. If you take out the things from the bed sheets, don't take the mattress covering, that stays. That's all. So we hope then to be finished with the aid of the volunteers who clean the general areas by 10 o'clock, something like that. And the shuttle, for those who have reserved the shuttle, leaves at 10:30 sharp. So please be ready with your baggage. You can put your baggage down in the hallway already in the early morning. Thank you so much. Wish you a very nice day. This will be seen. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.